Hello again, Craig here from forbiddenknowledge.info. This video was sort of thrust upon me due to some trolling on one of my money videos on YouTube. And this particular troll insisted, I knew nothing about money. Who the hell you think you know? You need to look at this expert and this expert and this expert and so on. He kept insisting I knew nothing about money. I posed the question to him, what is a dollar? We're from the US here, we're talking about the US dollar in this video. What is a dollar? Tell me what a dollar is. And he came back with an answer, something like, well, we came up with a definition of money, essentially, and a dollar being the unit of measure of money in the United States. That's kind of the answer he came up with. No, what's a dollar? What is a dollar by law? What is a dollar? Do you know what a dollar is? All your experts won't actually tell you what a dollar is. I'll tell you here today what a dollar is, but the experts won't tell you. And this troll didn't know either. I really put him to shame when I made him read the Coinage Act of 1792. That's what we're going to mainly talk about. Well, we're on location here for a reason. We're doing this outside. We're doing this in Gainesville, Georgia, the location of the very first private mint in the United States. About 200 yards west of where I'm sitting here on Washington Street was the first mint of the United States, a private one. The Dahlonega Mint nearby here in Dahlonega, Georgia, was 8 years later. That's what the designation D on the coins way back then. The Denver Mint didn't come out until the 1900s. So before that, the D designation was Dahlonega, not far from here. But that wasn't the first mint. The first mint, I believe, was Philadelphia. But anyway, that's why we're on location here doing this at the location of the very first mint. Now, the Templeton Reed Mint is what it was called, a man named Templeton Reed. He produced some coins, about 1,600 of them in 1830. This is some examples of what he produced. I don't have the real coins here because, frankly, it'd go for they're going upwards of about $500,000 if you have a good condition one, because there are very few that are known to exist. So Templeton Reed made those here in Gainesville back in 1830. 1 year, that was all that he basically made them here. So, what is a dollar? That's what we're going to define here. Now, we're going to use this as the basis, as proof, as evidence, because everybody's going to say, yeah, you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about. Link below is a copy of the Coinage Act of 1792, and also is going to be information about, what is the other link? I need to have two main links. The other link, I'll think of it later here. What the Coinage Act of 1792 and the definition of the coins, a little more less archaic version off of Wikipedia below. Okay, so what is a dollar? Is that a dollar? It says a dollar on it. Is it really a dollar? I can tell you absolutely it is not, and because by law I know exactly what a dollar is. I'm going to show you exactly what a dollar is here right now. I'm looking at a computer in front of me. The Coinage Act of 1792 clearly defines what a dollar is. Now, the Coinage Act of 1792 was revised at least 6 times since 1792, but the definition of the dollar still remains the same and is the only definition you can really use at law of what a dollar really is in the United States. And it's shown in the Coinage Act of 1792 as 27 grams of standard gold. That's the definition. I'm sorry, standard silver, I'm sorry. Dollars are the main unit of measure for currency in the United States, is 27 grams of silver. This is a dollar. This is a dollar. These are silver. This is lawful money of the United States, as described in the Coinage Act of 1792, which is the one and only true version of what a dollar is described at law. Law is precise. Now, if you divide these dollars, you can divide it into a half dollar, right? We've seen these. Of course, Kennedy one is more popular today. It's made of silver, and it's described in the Coinage Act right there. It's described, and it's basically it's half the silver of the silver one. And the dime is 1/10 the silver of a dollar. So, by equal measure, basically it was the division of what the base unit of a dollar is. They also had half dimes, which is half the size of this. I don't need to show you a picture. I do have pictures here, but it doesn't matter. We haven't had half dimes in a long time. And that's not a nickel. It's half the size in silver, according to the Coinage Act of 1792. Nickel isn't defined in the law at least in the Coinage Act, the original Coinage Act of 1792. Then we also had cents. Now, cents, which we might call a penny today, were a whole different beast as well. And I'm looking here. Today, the coin collectors call them large cents. A large cent looked like this. There were other versions, of course, but this is what some large cents look like. And the large cents were actually 17.1 grams of copper. That's bigger than a $0.50. Imagine a penny or a cent is bigger than a $0.50. That's what the cents, the large cents we call today, the cents were. And they had half cents too, which were actually a little bit bigger than a quarter. The half cents, also defined in the law, were 8.55 grams of copper, exactly half of what a cent was. So we don't have cents in circulation obviously anymore, because what we have today are slugs of copper-plated zinc. So we have no more cents in our currency. We have no more dollars circulating. We haven't had any dollars circulating, anything that remotely describes the description of a dollar since 1864, essentially. Although in, I'm sorry, not 1964, the half dollars, and dimes and quarters. Now in between 1965 and 1970, we did have 40% half dollars, but those didn't match the Coinage Act of 1792 of what it actually says a $0.50 is. So we haven't had any money, any silver in our dollars since 1870 at the very latest. So since we haven't had any silver in our dollars, that means we have had no dollars. End of story, no matter how much you want to whine about it. Now in the Coinage Act we also define eagles. It's a word we don't hear at all today, because in 1933 Franklin Delano Roosevelt, under executive order, decided to do away with all the gold in circulation and confiscated Americans' gold. And an eagle would have looked like this. Don't have one here to show you. An eagle is described, again, cited below in the law, as 17.5 grams of standard gold, which would have been bigger than this $0.50. 17.5 grams, so equated to a eagle. Now also you'll see in the law, they had half eagles, which was half the size, was $5 denomination. The full eagles were a $10 denomination. The half eagles were half that, just like the silver, the way they proportioned them, and that was half the size, and it was called a half eagle, being a $5 denomination. Then they had quarter eagles as well. I can show you pictures, it doesn't really matter. Quarter eagle was 1/4 of the eagle, and that was a $2.50 denomination. A ratio of silver to gold of, at that time, 15:1, I believe, the ratio of value in the currency. Then they had the double eagle. That's where what most people are probably familiar with that are collectors or have seen. This is a double eagle, which was twice what an eagle was, and so that's a $20 gold piece. We haven't had any gold since 1932 officially, and we haven't had silver at the very latest since 1969, 65 to 70, I believe it is. So what happened to the dollar? It's been debauched. We have no dollars anymore at all. End of story. There are no dollars in circulation. So what does the Coinage Act also say? This is the reveal here, folks. Shown below is a facsimile in PDF. Hopefully I use the PDF version. I've been having trouble linking to it recently, of the Coinage Act 1792. You can read it for yourself. I want to pay close attention here now to section 19 of the Coinage Act of 1792. And I'm going to summarize the first several sentences, but basically saying this is the penalty for violating the Coinage Act. And it goes through all the people that are debauching the money, meaning making it too small, making it have less gold or silver value, of weight content, or something to make it not exactly what a dollar should be as described by law, is shown at the bottom. Any of the coins which shall be struck or coined at the said mint, every officer or person who shall commit any or either of the said offenses, and I'm quoting here now, shall be deemed guilty of felony and shall suffer death. I think a whole lot of people probably need to die now in this country.